Hi everybody. I've been seeing a lot of college videos lately on the internet and YouTube, so I thought that I would make my own and to give some of my experience. I will have no debt when I graduate from college, and I will have a bachelor's degree in management information systems from Colorado State University. I graduated with a 2-year degree from a state university in Utah and then transferred over to Colorado State University for the last 2 years. And overall, it'll take me 4.5 years to graduate. I'll have no debt, and I'll have about $4,000 or $5,000, give or take, in the bank when I'm done with school. So this is not your debt video. That I personally thought that college was somewhat valuable, and from my experience, what I think college could do is they could just streamline and um, make a 4-year program into like 3 years by eliminating a lot of the classes that aren't needed and maybe going year round. That would save a lot of time and money, and you would still get about the same amount of credits and coursework in. The United Kingdom and Europe, I was reading, have 3-year degrees. Now, if you're in engineering or computer science or nursing, then you might want to have 4 years just because of the amount of time that it takes to get all of your classes in. You might not have the time for that. Um, I did not find that college scammed me. I do think that a lot of it is wasted time, but it was for me not a scam. I received some scholarships, which is why I did 2 years in Utah first. Otherwise, I would have gone to Colorado State University right off the bat. So I would have come out with, say, little bit. It would have been a little bit more expensive if I had gone to Colorado State to begin with, but not by a whole lot. Um, for networking, the two reasons that you would go to an in-person college is to gain valuable skills and to network with people and to get internships and jobs. So if you're going to go to college, I would personally recommend that every freshman or before that, even if you're in high school, make your online resume on LinkedIn readily available, get a professional profile ready up for you. And then what I would also do is create a personal website for branding yourself. And I would create business cards with your website and a custom email at your domain name. So that way, when you network with people, you're not hesitating to write down information, you're just giving them your card and you could hopefully exchange cards that way. I think that's a very uh, quick way to network, and that's relatively cheap and effective. Um, if you don't know what you want to study, I would highly recommend going to a 2-year community college to start out with. Take 2 or 3 years and get all of your general education classes and take some classes in different fields before going over to a 4-year school where you will have some kind of a background in challenge and all that kind of good stuff. One of the things that I was looking into with regards to college is you should also look at the tuition prices before you enter instead of complaining about the tuition prices after you enter. You don't have to go to a top-notch university if you can't afford it. You don't have to go to an Ivy League, or you don't have to go to some private school. State schools are perfectly fine, and they're solid institutions that are very reputable. Colorado State University, for example, is a very reputable and affordable school, and I have no problem with going to state school instead of a tier 1 state school like University of California, for example, or University of Florida, I believe, or something like that. University of Texas, Austin. You get the idea. You don't have to go to a big name state school to get the same degree. If your parents can afford it and you will graduate with no debt, or you have scholarships, or like if you're in the military and the GI Bill will pay for it, then it might be worth going to a big university or a top-notch private school for your education. But for the vast majority of people, I would go for a state university that is reputable within your state and that is affordable. So, like for my example, I go to Colorado State University. It's very reasonably priced. It's reputable within the state and the country, and it might not be the highest ranking university, but it's got the program that I want, and I'll have no debt when I graduate. So that's the biggest key for me. If the one thing that I would say would be worth it if you were to take on some debt is if you got into a Harvard or a Stanford or like Georgetown, one of those top 20, maybe 50 schools in the country. University of Chicago, Washington, trying to think what, not University of Washington, UC Berkeley, UCLA, your whatever top 50 university you get into could be worth it. It could be worth the debt, depending on the major. If you're in business, the ranking of your college might open up a lot more doors, so that might be worth your while if you got into a Harvard or Stanford or UC Berkeley or something like that. Then it might be worth going into some debt for. For medical, like nursing, it really doesn't matter where you go as long as it's accredited. Engineering is kind of the same way. You just want to make sure that you get your degree at a pretty good state school like Colorado State or Arizona State, University of Nevada, something like that. For IT, that's about the same as well. And for pre-anything, like if you're doing a pre-MBA or pre-law or pre-medical, your undergrad doesn't matter as much as where you go to your master's degree. Your GPA and your graduate test scores will definitely put you above and beyond what candidates are. One of my friends' siblings went to one of the California State Universities and got into a top-notch medical or pharmacy school in the country from going to a California State University system school. Lived at home for the 4 or 5 years that she was there, and she still got in because it wasn't the ranking that they were looking for. They were looking for those pre-pharmacy classes, your grade point average, any extracurriculars, and your GREs. And I would say the rankings matter more for a graduate program rather than undergraduate, because if you get an MBA at Harvard but you go to, say, Cal State Fullerton or Cal State Long Beach for your undergrad, then the Harvard MBA would outweigh that undergraduate program. I just wanted to think of some other notes that I wanted to talk about with university. With prerequisites, when you go into university, you're not going to always be able to take the classes that you want because they'll have prerequisites or they're only available in certain semesters. For example, if you wanted to take Math 1, like let's say pre-calculus, which is available in the fall, and then Calculus 1 is available in the spring for whatever reason, then you have to take pre-calculus before you take Calculus 1. So you need to have all your classes in writing for your particular situation. If you're in a major that requires a lot of prerequisites, it might be worth speaking with your student advisor every semester. And you don't want to go off of someone else's plan, because if you have a friend that's in, like, let's say business or accounting or something, they might be in a different placement than you are. So you need to be the one to go to your academic advisor and to discuss everything that all the classes by semester that you need until you graduate. And you just want to make sure that you take all of the classes that are necessary and that none of them go to waste. Another one that I wanted to talk about is extracurriculars. Some of them are worth it. I would personally say that extracurriculars that are in your major are more worthwhile than extracurriculars that are not in your major. Now, I would say it is good to have an outlet when you're in school, so just having one fun extracurricular, don't join like 10 of them and then your grades suffer and your work suffers because you're in 10 extracurricular activities when you really only needed to be in one or two. So just balance all that out. And if you're in any kind of dating or relationships, you should also just know how to balance your time. Probably the best thing that I could say for coming in as a freshman is to choose a wise major, balance the time between dating and socializing and anything like that, and fun activities with your work, so that way you don't get one out of whack with the other. And 4 years go by really quickly. Even if you stay for 5 years, 4 or 5 years go by much faster than you think it is because, like high school, it was over just like that, and that's basically the same thing that it is with college. I started when I started at Weber State University in Utah. I my 2 years went by really quickly, and before I knew it, I was a junior, and I'll be done in either summer or December of next year, and I'll be out in the workforce full time in my major. And that's just something that you should all be aware of. Is just that it'll go by really quickly. There's no need to rush, and don't be afraid to remediate yourself too. Remediation is very very crucial, and um, if you're placed into classes that say you need to take college algebra or algebra 2 or whatever, instead of taking the class that you might have needed to take up here, like or physics, college level physics, but you're placed in a lower level physics class, take the lower level class because remediation will help you do better off. Those entry level classes in college that they say are entry level really are for the people that have taken it as AP courses in high school. Um, so a lot of those are classes for ringers, people that have already done it before, and you just want to make sure that those classes will be will be you'll be making sure that you have all the prerequisites down before you go into a course, because you don't want to go into a high level math or physics science course and not know what the hell you're doing because you didn't remediate yourself when just because you saw your friends in higher level classes. You want to make sure that you're going at the right pace for you. The one last thing I wanted to talk about was, don't worry about graduating in 4 years. Take your time, get internships, get work experience, and get jobs, because uh, when you're out of school, it's going to be different because the job market simply is not the same way it was even 20 years ago. So you're not. It's better to, I would say, get more work experience. When your parents probably went to college, just getting the bachelor's degree was enough. Like, they didn't need work experience. They could have held their part-time job as a waiter and they would have gotten a decent job right out of college. Well, you need internships nowadays, and you need solid work experience, and you need a proven track record. And at the end of your 4 or 5 years in college, you want to come away with references, any letters of recommendation you need for graduate school or for applying for work, and a decent grade point average in your major. So that's really what's key. And then the work experience, and just you want to have a clean slate going into your 20s when you're just developing yourself as a career. And don't rush it. You're in your 20s. You have plenty of time to adult by now.